Well, yeah, it's October 2024. As I'm looking from my sitting room window, I see the colors in the trees are starting to change. Autumn's finally arriving here, although it's been quite unseasonably warm. I'm sure not just here, but in many areas within the temperate zone. Anyway, what I wanted to do here is just touch upon a few images that I'm focusing on at the moment and that will be up and coming in videos. Boring stuff. Didn't I tell you I was self-indulgent? Yeah. Just the same, I'll be doing my own thing. And forgive me if I don't... actually, we'll get into that some other time. Narcissist that I am. Anyway, I just thought we'd take a quick peek and show you where we're at for October 2024. By the way, what you're looking at there is actually a portion of a larger painting that I did in 2012. It's oil on canvas, some abstract imagery working through there. Originally it was inspired by a bright red and bright blue contrast idea I had that just as I laid out a lot of the work, a new idea had started to take form, and it's hard to really call it an idea, but basically it was a wrestling match where I was trying to fight inclinations while trying to maintain some sort of control in the actual line work that was put together with the basic lines were put together with masking tape to keep a sharp edge, but that went out the window. It got out of hand, but in the end I was happy with the result. I love it. It's just great. But anyway, let's look at something a little bit more current that has nothing to do with abstract paintings, but more some line work and comic book stuff and that sort of fun stuff. Here's it's a photocopy of a smaller etching from back, my guess, I'd have to go back and look at the binder itself, but I think this one's from 2005. Basically, you've got a female figure here, the legs draped down, chest, bare-chested, face with some sort of goggle or glasses, but it extends into some sort of wing structure here. And the idea is a morphed being between insect and human being. Something fantasy. I don't know. We'll see what we've got some ideas about the backgrounds and the settings and stuff. So, I don't know. Just having fun there. I thought I'd bring it back up. I took the original image and blasted out some of the lines that were in it with correction fluid, so that's what you're seeing now. And what I'll probably do is this will be part of the what I call the self-indulgent series that's coming up, where I'll take a sketch from the past that I pull out of the archives, look at it, say what's wrong with it, and then show you the process of making it better, or correcting it and bringing it along. So that's one of them. And the idea here isn't so much about sporting the artwork as it is just touching base with what's up and coming and the works that are in progress. Put it that way, where the pen is being laid down. Yeah, some of these things, I don't know, I just stumbled across. Here's another little doodle that I pulled out of the slush pile too and started tickling it with the pen again, sharpening up the edges. Like, some of these, I won't do anything with them. You know what I mean? They're just random things that take place. But that's one of the doodles that came up. Now this one in its horrid state is simply what it is was a pencil sketch that I had inked and photocopied, and this is paint right on the photocopy. It looks really rough. Just barely put one color down and in. You know, it's just a work in progress. But I'm doing a little bit of, well, spoiler alert. You probably figured that out from the last video where I drew the John Romita inspired iconoclastic, you know, bust of Green Gobby. But this is Infinata, and I've done a few sketches of him that I want to experiment with color with and stuff. And you know, most of them are inked and done, but I'm still working on another one that I need to sharpen up. This one looks horrid in the color, but there you have it. Let's see if I can, there's probably another one I can show where it's just the basic outline. It's very blocky, kind of cartoony coloring book line work. You'll see what I mean. Yeah, here's another one of our boy. Right? Infinata. Just the basics, right? I wanted to practice with my ink brush too on a lot of these lines, but I didn't get around to it. I ended up using pens. I don't know what it is. It's that habit over time. I've no real experience using the paintbrush with inks, and I want to try incorporating that. As you can see, no feathering, no shadowing, no shading in this. It's the raw outlines of these images inspired from the cartoons, right? Trying to give them a really clean, basic look. Anyway. And continuing here. There's nothing really here to see, folks, but I'm showing it anyway. Just the basic outline. Whoops, sorry, that's coming off there. Yeah, it's the basic outline, the roughed out sketch, but it's used, you know, I mean, and then I'll go over it with the ink. See, I want to get in there with the brush and start getting used to that. That's why it's so basic. It's, I don't, you know, sometimes I wonder about these projects, like, why am I doing that? Well, in this one, I know what I was thinking when I was going for this one. It was about utilizing the paintbrush when laying down India ink and that sort of thing. Not really getting away from pens, but trying to use the tool because I'm not familiar with it, and we'll see how that goes. But you can expect to see these ones in the future. There's another one that's probably going to end up on the self-indulgent series. I don't know what to tell you about some of these, folks. They're just raw images that came up in Doodles that I decided to retain, that's all. Yeah, there was an original drawing of this that I went in with the correction fluid and started looking at it, reshaping it, and trying to bring it up into an image. Of course, there'll be background and there'll be more added to this, but there's another one to expect. Work in progress. Again, something for the self-indulgence section. Sorry about the mic, or the last one. Like I was saying with that headshot, I don't really know about these images. They come up and I just decide to retain them, and yeah. This one, as well as the one previous to it, will be on the self-indulgence series list, where I go back and, you know, play with the images and bring them up into a fully realized pic. That one will be there too. Now here's another one that will be added to that list too. This one's is pretty much complete as a figure, as an image, but went in stages, and that'll be on there too, up and coming. Oh, by the way, I should mention that the blue color you're seeing there, it's because what's being used here is just a blue ballpoint pen. You understand? And like I've said in the past, most of these are no reference, no photos, no life drawing, nothing like that. It's just off the top of my head. And that's why some of them I retained to bring back to look at and say, well, how can I make these work? Because things go wrong, right? When you're not referencing either a model or a photo, right? When that happens, when you're just using your imagination, for me anyway, things can go wrong in the anatomy, the angle, the perspective, foreshortening, etc., etc., if you get my meaning. So that's what this is really about, I guess. And I realize at this stage in the game, I'm going to have to retrain myself to do a lot of things, start using references more and more. And hopefully it won't interfere with the things that I've already learned. I think I've learned some pretty bad habits too, though, don't get me wrong. But that's what this is about at this stage, trying to correct some of that stuff, go back and make things work. Like looking at drawings, saying, why doesn't it work? And then make it work with what I now know after, decades later sometimes. Not all of them. Some of them are a lot more recent, but yeah, that's the idea there. So I went back and I touched this one up, and this one's pretty much complete, but there'll be a lot more like them in the series to come. Yeah, and sometimes, folks, what can I tell you? Don't even ask, because I can't even answer you. The Doodles, you're going for a feel, something's going on, something's happening. I know you see a title block up there, but don't even try to read into it at this stage. It did give me some ideas of what to do there with that. And I don't know. If I can formulate something, I'll work it out. But anyway, just enjoy the drawing if you can make that out. Again, pen and ink. Or, sorry, pen and ink. That's a ballpoint pen. Like just a Bic pen. You understand? It's not rocket science. Again, no reference or any of that stuff. No swipes. It's not a light box. It's not from a photo. It's just, that's my stuff. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. Also, I might as well take the time to mention that I plan on, naturally continuing with the tribute series. And I've been looking at a couple images by Jack Kirby that I want to tackle too. And I'm looking into, I think for a lot of the work, I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but I'm approaching the idea of what's called, what do you call it? What did we call it? It was in grade 7. They first taught us how to do it. I guess you could call it graphing, graphing, I guess, where you take an image and you work it into, parallel lines, horizontal lines to make square boxes in them, right? And, they're all equal, these boxes of the image, drawn right on a photo or a picture or what have you. And then what you do is you go to blow it up, right? So using the scale and a little bit of math, you blow up that graph, that graph, right? So you got these aligned images and you put in the light lines, and then you have that graph, just a larger version, and then you work from that within each of the squares. You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember. Gridding. That's it. I think it's called gridding, not graphing. Gridding, grid work. And it was the old school method of blowing up an image. In fact, it dates back to the Renaissance, actually, where, from my understanding, what they used to do, too, is use twine or string, right? And they'd create that, that grid of twine and string, right? Parallel and, parallel. Oh my. What's with the vocabulary today? Horizontal and perpendicular lines, right? And the subject or whatever they were painting, they'd view through those. Now, I imagine that would have, required some very still and stiff positioning on both the artist and the subject. But now, today, we just draw onto the images that are already taken with photos or whatever and blow them up that way. So I was thinking about going that route, but I don't know. But there are some definite images I want to do. But, I got to admit, I just want to, the reason I'm going for it, it's for fun. Like, it's just so much fun. I'm looking at some of the old Kirby stuff and some of the images that are, like, a lot more of the popular, and there's so many, but a lot of them are so worth doing. I think any artist that learned anything from Kirby, even back in the day, would understand where I'm going with, or where I'm going there. But we'll see what's coming up. Here we go, another random image brought up into the present. I've already run some correction fluid in there, drawn in a few lines. We'll have to deepen the hues again. Ballpoint pen, you know, very light shade of it, in fact. And actually, this copy was, I knocked off some of the density so I could knock away some of the old smudges and evidence of correction fluid and dirt and stuff, because a lot of the ballpoint stuff came off the machine shop floor, you know, I don't mean off the actual floor, but, you know, I was working with metals and fluids and stuff, and a lot of it got pretty dirty, and this is one of them. But I brought it up, applied the correction fluid, and I'm going to try and bring the image up to what, you know, was originally intended. You know, there's just, I got boxes of this stuff, but I want to start bringing them up and out. Right now, just to remind you, once again, this isn't about showing off work. This here is about showing things that are in progress, not even complete, and they look pretty bad at the moment. But just to give you an idea of what to expect up and coming. And for fun, I thought I'd throw in a little something from back in the day. This is from about 1986. This isn't something I'm currently working on, but I don't know. I'd probably keep the image, bring it up to current date, but whatever. It's from high school, actually. Around 1986, going into 1987. You got a picture of Wolverine slashing some poor unfortunate across the midsection. Anyway, rough outline. The drawing was never completed, but you know, this kind of thing went on, and this is from an old notebook of mine from high school. Like, you know, a lot of the time, you know, I guess you could say I wasn't. You could have found me not paying much attention and doing a lot of drawing. A lot of times it would end up in tech courses, which I really didn't take seriously. Of course, until later on when I realized I needed a job, something tangible, a physical trade, that kind of thing. But at the time, I just goof off in them because I thought, you know, this stuff's for idiots, right? Whatever, doing my own thing and that. But there you have it. That's what I was doing as a student. Naughty, naughty. But it just went on and on like that. Drawing, drawing, scribbling, drawing, doodling, drawing, drawing, drawing. In the lunchroom, in the hallways, in the classroom, in the library, in the smoking pit, outside in the field. Like, you know, talk about self-indulgent. But anyway, that's the way that goes. Sorry about the audio there. And the wine bottle. I've been using that wine bottle as well as a paper towel stand to hold up my images and lay them on the back. Like right now, I use it for weight. It'll sit there so the panel won't knock it over or whatever. Anyway, what I was trying to say about that last picture that I was doodling there, like that stuff went on and on. In high school, when I was supposed to be paying attention, I was doodling all over the place. You know, especially in the tech classes, which I didn't take too seriously, you know, goofing off in them. You know, like I said, I took them seriously later when I got older, when I needed to take a trade. I was, you know, I had new considerations. But anyway, yeah, I was drawing everywhere in school instead of studying. You know, all over the place. Library, the lunchroom, the smoking pit, out on the field, in the hallways, you know, just doodle, 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 sketching, doodle, doodle, doodle. In a way, just kind of out to lunch. in a way. But anyway, just wanted to also mention that there's a couple of oil paintings I noticed that have taken some nicks from moving around, from out of storage and stuff, and I'll be patching those up too. And I don't know, well, I'd like to get a couple of those up there for a look-see before I put them in storage or you know, whatever. Made the mistake in the past of not making copies of some of my oil paintings that I did in fact sell. I kick myself for that. A couple of the people I still know. One, I no longer have their number. The other guy, he's not living too far from me. I guess it would be just a matter of asking him if I could make some copies of it for my portfolio, but we'll have to see. I don't know. I'd like to show some of that stuff too. It just, you know, anything I'll put up there is just, you know, random, and it's not. That, you know, none of this stuff is gonna save me or change, you know, a direction of my life and stuff. It's just, it's always been there, you understand, since the time I was 4 years old. Or it's always, you know, right? So, you know, there's no real method, and there's no real intention, you know. I'm just putting it out there for the sake of putting it out there, you know, while I can. Put it that way. Yeah, so those are some of the examples of where my hands have been in the last few weeks. And I don't know how productive we'll be, but we'll see. I'd also like to bring up some things here and there that I've come across from the past, just to look at some of the things that worked out back then, because not all the drawings are worth much, or, you know, but a lot of them were worth hanging on to. And I'll bring up some of those examples and take a look and see what I'd like to do with them, or whether or not I'd like to leave them alone or stuff. Some of the pencil work and stuff. For example, I have pencil work from the past that I look at it and I say, you know what, this might not look too bad if I were to ink it. And I'm talking about like 35 years later. I mentioned it in another video about having sketchbooks from 1989 and so on and so forth. Some of the stuff, the penciled work, comes from the early 90s. Some of the penciled work, and a lot of it looks like it, you know, it might really pop if I were to ink it. So what I've done is taken the time to photocopy some of those penciled versions, so that when I do go ahead and ink them, I'll have the before and afters to take a look at. So that's what's up, and I don't know, I'll continue to put things up as I can, you know. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll try to come up with something in the next little while for us to all take a gander at.